Chuck Morgan, one time when I first got started, I said something about, now he wouldn't care if I said it. I said, I want to get my breasts done after I breastfed 3 babies. I said, I want to get my breasts done, but it's been a bad mobile home year. And he's in the mobile home business, and he got so mad and said, don't you say that I can't take care of you and my family. I could write a check for your breasts right now. And I said, I'm sorry. I will never. He is very much a provider and head of our family, and that's biblical. And I never said another thing about all that. Now, when I have said, Chuck, do you mind if I say so-and-so? He goes, no, I don't care. He's very secure about that kind of stuff. And he knows he's peculiar, said. He knows all this is true. He knows that he doesn't talk. He knows that I just sit in silence and talk to myself. Yeah, and he'll even say, I've got more fans than you've got, Leanne. And every once in a while, I mean, he's still working a big job, but like if I'm in Nashville, say at the Ryman, he'll say, I'll sell this merchandise, and he's a salesman, and he'll get out there and take selfies with people. And I'm sure they don't see his teeth. I'm sure he does not smile, but he says, I can do this. Let me do it. So yeah, everybody, honest to goodness, has been wonderful about that. And, and I'm talking about when I said, okay, the one thing that I thought that blew up and really helped me was a bit about my middle child being 16 and rolling her eyes, and we were scared to death of her. She was mean as a snake, and she wouldn't let me breathe out of my own nostrils and wouldn't let me chew cereal in my own home. That blew up because everybody's been through that. Everybody says my child, my girl at 16, 17 we were scared to death of her. And then I tell people, they come back around, they end up your best friend. But I said, Maggie, does that hurt your feelings that I say that? She goes, no, girl. I know I was hateful. I'm okay. I don't care. Thank the Lord for them. And I mean, they're my material, and it's every day, and everything that I've ever said. I mean, it's true. The one thing that I embellished, which Chuck goes, you embellish everything. But the one thing that I really embellished was when I said years ago, this was old material when I first got started, and I got pregnant with my 3rd baby, and I went and pee-peed on a stick at Walmart in a stall, and I had my 3-year-old boy, and my Maggie would have been about 1, and I peed on that stick, and Charlie looked at me and said, is it positive? And he really didn't. He was 3. But I was just trying to illustrate how we were all in shock. Yeah. I mean, I really became a fan when I went up here. Before, my little daddy was always a Vanderbilt fan. I'm ashamed to tell you that. But we were living outside of Nashville, and I think my uncles would sit and talk about University of Tennessee and go Vols, and it just turned him off. But anyway, yes, I've always been a fan, and I love it now. And I think I'm going to be one of those little old women that wears a sweatshirt that says "Go Vols" on it and have 2 orange balls hanging for earrings, and I'm going to make a dip. But I do love football, and I tell you when I really got interested in it, my children went to a little small school here, and there was 2 boys that went and played for UT, and we loved them. And I really got into it then to watch them. But I went through that whole Lane Kiffin, and I don't know, I resented Lane Kiffin, and I really didn't know that much about it. I like to find out people's personal business. I'll just tell you, Sid. And I resented him and talked a big game, and I would get out at shows and say, Lane Kiffin and ought to be arrested. And then now I think, I hope Lane Kiffin hadn't heard that. And I tell people, I think he has been washed in the blood, and I think that he is really doing better, and he did a cleanse. But anyway, I talked about him like a dog, and then little Butch Jones came along. And he's got a beautiful wife and Precious. And then, I get all up in that now, and I love it. And I love SEC football. And I've talked many times about little wound up Nick Saban on stage. And, I like to get into all that, but it's mainly just like their personal business. But I do watch it, and I love it. But I don't get to go to games because I'm always touring in the fall. But Chuck Morgan's there and watching and screaming and almost fighting 2 fraternity boys that are drunk. Chuck thinks he's the police, tries to break it up. And now my grandbabies just went to Neyland Stadium for the first time and got to see Smokey. They're 3.5 and 15 months. Had a ball. And my son went to Berry College in Rome, Georgia, but his wife got her MBA at UT. And Charlie, if he ever goes back to school, I think would like to go to UT. And my middle child graduated and was a Chi Omega from the University of Tennessee. And so, and let me tell you this, UT, God love them. And I hope nobody ever reveals my GPA, but they gave me Alumni of the Year for Arts and Entertainment in 2012. And my little mama daddy came up and cried their eyes out. And it really did make me feel good knowing that, Sid, I didn't have an easy time. At UT, I wasn't prepared to go to a big university like that. I was from this tiny little town. I didn't even know. I didn't have enough math. We had one language that you could take, Spanish. I didn't have to take it because I was a forward on the basketball team. So I got out of it. And then I got to UT and didn't have Spanish, didn't have a foreign language. But anyway, struggled, got married, went back, finished. So thankful for my degree. And it gave me so much confidence in myself. Then they give me that award. And I felt it was precious. But I also felt terrible because Chuck Morgan was sitting there by me, who made straight A's through undergraduate and MBAs, and nobody gave him anything. And I'm telling you, my GPA, I will go to my grave with my GPA and my ACT score. You'll never know. My children, when I get the flu, they'll try to stand over me. They know I'm hallucinating with fever, and they'll go, "What's your ACT score?" But I've never told them. I got that piece of paper, and I'm so proud of it. I'm proud that I went back and did it after something tragic. Being married at 21. I look back on it. When I read this book on audio last couple of weeks ago, the main thing I took away from it was, man, I was stupid. That's what I thought. I thought, Lord, have mercy, I was a ding dong. And then I went through a spell where I thought, you know what? I've got to forgive my little self from 17 to 25. I got to let that go. She didn't know. You get some great material, my darling. And you can also empathize when you're interviewing parents in Christian school when they say, I went to Auburn and I did a lot of things I shouldn't have. And they start confessing so their little children can go to a Christian school. And you're like, you don't have to tell us. You don't have to tell us about your sin. They almost always, they say, oh my gosh, you were living my life. Oh my gosh, you are married to my husband. Oh my gosh, girl, she said, I had for years though, I've had people say, are you in our closet watching us? And I did not realize I really was talking about my own experience, but it's universal. What I talk about, and years ago when I would be in Hollywood for some television deal that didn't make it, and they would say, put me up at one of the comedy clubs in LA, I would be, with my accent. One producer said to me one time, he said, Leanne, I have realized that you are really not a Southern comedian. What you talk about is universal. You do it with a very thick accent, country accent, but what you talk about, every woman in the United States, has felt terrible in a low-rising blue jean. Just everybody's been to Weight Watchers and failed several times and keep going back. Don't know why. It's just everything I talk about, and I didn't even plan it that way. I was just up there talking out of my head. Really, Sid, I must have needed a lot of attention. I'm a ham. Oh my gosh, Sid, I could kind of cry. I think I'm proud to be from the South. I wish people knew. I think they do. I think they're beginning to see how wonderful it is. I think we are creative, fun-loving, kind, hospitable people. I can't imagine growing up anywhere else. I think we're pretty nifty. I think Southern is nifty. And I know people have a bunch of, ideas about the South and all that kind of stuff. And, I just wish they knew what I knew. It's magical, I think. Sid, you angel from heaven, thank you for having me. I have had a ball. Does it have to end? Okay. All right, you don't. Thank you, my darling.